I think Grey Knights are going to have an epic range refresh.
It's going to be interesting because do you think they're going to Primaris them up, or do you think they're going to
I think in the lore, Primaris won't exist for.
Do you think they'll just scale them up?
They'll just scale them up.
True scale.
You know? Make them look bigger. Bigger. Because at the end of the day, right? If the rumors are that it's the Emperor's gene seed anyway, it's the fucking Emperor.
Was old Castellan Crow actually made into Primaris? He wasn't, was he?
No.
He's just scaled, right?
No, he's just scaled.
Yeah, he's just scaled up. Yeah,
just do that.
His model's sexy. If they all look like that, I'd be like,
yeah, this is it.
Yeah, and the Terminators as well. Because don't get me wrong, I do like them.
I
love their helmets. They are probably the best Knights faction out of all of the Space Marine factions.
You hold your fucking tongue. Your fucking tongue.
That was such easy bait. I was literally like,
you hold your fucking tongue, mate. Nah, you can.
I saw your faces drop. They are very knightly, though. You got to admit, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, but they're not the OGs, are they? They're not the first. They're not the first Legion. I love Grey Knights, so fuck off.
Welcome to the In the Tank podcast. Get ready for an hour of hot 40k goodness coming in your ears. You're in the tank now, baby.
We are live.
We are indeed live. Welcome, everybody, to In the Tank. How you doing, my absolutely fabulous, gorgeous co-host, Ed?
I'm great, mate. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Struggling through winter blues, but hey, I've got a tourney on the horizon, so life is good. Yeah. Life is very, very good indeed. What's been going on in the old chateau, Eddie, then, lad? It looks like you're in a new place right off the bat.
Indeed, in the new studio, finally. The echoiest room in Great Britain currently, because it hasn't been sound treated yet. So
good job you're not going to be recording in there. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Well, I've moved my computer over here, so I can't do it at home anymore because I'm setting all the cameras up and stuff. But yeah, so we're in here now. So if it is a little bit echoey this episode, I do apologise. I'll try and correct as much of it in post as possible. But yeah, we're here finally. It's exciting.
Looking good, mate. Looking good. Like it looks like a prison's behind you. You're gonna have to escape.
A prison of the mind.
Awesome.
How are you? What have you been up to?
I've been good. Just kind of getting through life, really. Still painting and getting my Sternguard finished. I'm sending you babbly messages of insanity. Yeah. As I'm kind of doing
that one that you sent me yesterday, it was hilarious because you were like, I'm losing my fucking mind. And I was like, you really just started painting them. What's wrong with you?
Hate it.
Right, what's bad about painting them? Is it the robes or what? What are you struggling with?
I just hate doing blocks of 10. I'm just trying to do 10 in one go. I'm trying to do 10 in one go. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, why am I doing it to myself? But it'd be fine. I'll get it all done.
You'll get
it.
Through
Cool. It'd be fine.
You'll be fine.
I'll be fine. It'd be all fine.
You're hard.
I'm hard, boy. What have you been painting, palette cleanser boy?
So I've been painting a few Death Guard models. I haven't actually really had much time this week to paint them because I've been painting this battle barn. So it's almost there, the studio room. We've basically got one more coat on the main walls and then I've got to do all the ceilings. So sort of 2/3 of the way through, really, which is good. Nice. But the models I've been painting are a squad of 5 Plague Marines with a Malignant Plague Caster and a Terminator, a Sorcerer in Terminator armor. So, because I was going to paint just the 5-man and the other guy, and I was like, I've got to do the blessed number of models. So I thought I'd do 7. Yeah.
7! Has to be done. That's exactly. Very cool. I need to talk to you about some hobby news, because there's been some hobby news. Have you seen the absolutely obscene Emperor's Children Codex limited edition one? Yeah,
with its little quarter of a coin.
I am gutted because in my year of chaos, I could have thought of nothing better than to have that coin framed and shit. Right?
It would be really cool.
So one half of me is like, how much is that fucking thing going to be? And then the other half of me is going, that's going to be like £200 or something. And I'm like, I'm good. But I'm tempted. I'm very, very tempted.
I think you and quite a lot of other people. It does look a very sexy codex.
Either way, I'm going to want the Death Guard one.
Oh, yeah, me too, for sure. I think, so one of my mates, Males, he was messaging me the other day and he was like, you know for sure that if I buy this Emperor's Children one with the coin and everything, and then I'll buy all the other ones because he loves chaos, that he's just not going to be able to get one of them for whatever reason. Like it will just sell out and then you'll end up with like 3/4 of a coin.
Well, this is it. You've got to then contest with the horrendousness that is GW limited edition.
Yeah. And then eBay scalpers and no. No,
not
thank
fun.
you.
Not
I'm
fun.
out.
Not fun.
I'll just get the regular old Death Guard Codex, thank you.
Oh no, I'm gonna get the Uber Death Guard Codex because you still get the
bollocks.
objective markers that are fun and stuff like that, right?
Well, I've made my own ones for for like how they get sticky objectives and stuff with
Yes.
So I've actually my sticky objective markers for my Death Guard are tiny little nurglings on 25mm bases that are just all sort of jumping around. I've got loads of different ones.
Get the boss.
Exactly.
No, nice. Very cool. Very cool. And we've also had the preview of the frogs for Old World.
Yeah, you love those, don't you?
Transfrogification. So I don't know if you know that there's the most OP magic item in the Old World ever that you can take as a generic magical item for any wizard that basically allows you to wizard duel another wizard and turn them into a fucking frog.
Polymorph them, yeah.
Polymorph them into a frog, so that 500 point level 4 wizard is now a frog for the rest of the game because you can't roll 4 up at the beginning of your turn. And they got the tokens for it, and I'm like, yes, fucking let me have 10 of those.
Yes, please.
And of course, I might need one of those because I'm getting Beastman Dreams, Ed. I'm getting Beastman Dreams. I can't stop after our last episode. I can't stop.
Time.
I went to a petting zoo with Leo, and there was like loads of goats, and they were whispering.
I'm worried
to me.
about you, Russ. I'm worried about you.
Play Beastman.
Was one of them stood up on 2 legs? Did it have like
and I was like,
crucifix? Well, not a crucifix, the pentagram in his forehead.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Either way, what I might do is by the
just
start.
Stop, fucking.
No.
Stop.
What I might do, you see, what I might do is buy the starting box, like when they do the range refresh, like the box, the opening start army box. Have you seen that cool blind Bray Shaman with this little bunny on the rock that's like and the little like Bray Shaman? I'm like, oh my god, this is what I need.
How all the stupid models in our minds always make the noise. Be cherubs or goats or whatever.
But yes, and I even thought of a colour scheme, like a really deep sort of fleshy mustard yellow with blue hair, because they're Zeechy, culty Beastman army. Need it.
You need
it.
You need to. Look, I've said this to you over text as well. You need to fucking paint your bloody Chaos army. In fact, you need to finish painting your fucking Dark Angels first. So get them done. Then you can do the Chaos, and then you can do the Beastmen.
I don't need to paint anything. I just need to collect things.
Stop.
It's my year of chaos, yes. Yes, but even then, like, dude, look, and then I'll properly finish, because then I've got Death Guard, then I've got Word Bearers, then I've got Second Ed Word Bearers, and then I've got Beastmen.
You've got too much on your fucking plate already.
Far too much. All the chaos systems. Let me have them all.
Yeah, far too much. So I'm just turning you down a bit so that people can't hear you coming through my ears. Oh, it's just so loud.
Either that, or can our fans just send me some Beastmen so I don't feel guilty about it? Just send me some
Stop trying to get shit out of people. You're such a little scribbler.
Please. Well, it's worked because I've got some cool stuff. Like, it's all good to see.
You guys might have noticed you can finally see more of my glorious face, by the way, because I can actually finally attach the mic to the side of the desk instead of the fucking back of it. Because before I had to go right over the monitor, and I also now have my camera right in the middle of the screen, which is great because I had to have it on one side before. It's an upgrade. It's great. I'm feeling it. It's so much better in here. Just need to get the sound sorted, and then we're all good.
Nice.
So what we got to talk about today?
We've got some cool topics today. Our first one's going to be quite a controversial one, but quite a fun one. And you weren't aware of too many of these throughout the years, right? So I'm going to be your guide.
I've got a few that I've known about, but none of the major ones.
So I'd also like to ask the community if you've heard of any of these over the years, and so that we could do potentially another one of these, because this is really fun. If not a bit catty, it is GW's biggest scandals. Over the years. So I'm going to go through some. I'm going to come with the most recent one straight off the bat, which is the and you didn't know about this until we had a little chat, and I still don't think you truly understand what's going on with this. The Armies on Parade famous U-turn that's recently happened of late.
Yeah, so talk to me about that one.
So essentially, do you know what Armies of Parade is, Ed? Do you have any idea?
So you put your army on parade.
You have no idea, do you?
No. Isn't it the
I
like
guess someone's
the
so connected to
competition?
me, the
Isn't it the
community.
competition where you put you paint a whole army and you have it on a little tray that looks themed and all
Yeah,
that sort of shit,
okay,
right?
you
Yeah,
kind of
cool.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay, but essentially the premise of it is it's done on a very like local
the
GW
hobby
scale.
shop.
Well, yes,
Yeah,
at
my mate
GW,
Paul does it.
at
Yeah,
GW, well, GW themselves as well, right? And you go for it, and I don't know if like store managers give out prizes or whatever. It's done at the discretion of like the thing, right? But essentially, people come and they put their army on parade with like a big board that's obviously themed around your army.
Yeah.
And then the best ones are obviously sent to pictures of to Warhammer HQ for White Dwarf and for articles and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of cool. It's kind of fun, and it just allows people to show off what they've been working on like all year, essentially, or whatever. But GW got into the shit with it this year because they recently did a policy change in terms of like the restrictions for entering your armies on parade, being that you were not allowed this year to mix Age of Sigmar and 40k kits as part of your army on parade.
Oh, that's lame. Well, so you couldn't do
There you
conversions.
No, not between.
So
between
my
the
Catan
systems.
would be out.
Your Catan would be out. Both of your Catan would be out.
Yeah, they would actually.
Which had a massive backlash because people were like, "Look,
fuck that.
Lady Olenna, the thing was actually used in Codex Necrons."
Yeah, she
as
was.
an example, right? So this was the problem: was that then it seemed like the creative devs at GW that can kind of do that was not matching what you could then do from a entry perspective, and I think they've now done a U-turn on it. But essentially, people were like, "This was the most unnecessary policy change," and just completely kind of blank to the whole.
So they've
concept.
U-turned on it.
Apparently,
Good.
But even so, silly.
They
Very
do
silly.
stupid shit like this.
This is it.
Time
This
to
is
time,
the silly
don't they?
stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just like, come on now. So the first one that is a little bit nasty was the Only Hand scandal.
Yes.
So the Only Hand scandal was during the sort of midpoint of Warhammer Plus, essentially, where as a result of G-Dubs losing a lot of their painting Cult of Personality team, which basically involved losing Duncan Rhodes first, then losing our friend Peach next, and then, of course, the trifecta was old Suggs-O's, the legendary Suggs, bless her, Louise. They freaked out about that because you've lost all of your kind of like big early painting talent. And to try and combat that and to stop people from having a Cult of Personality outside the umbrella of G-Dubs themselves, they started to do the Only Hands video series, which is the quite shitty nickname where it's just hand.
Yeah.
You don't get to see the person. They don't get to introduce who
they didn't even do little puppets, you know.
They're just there talking with their hands and stuff. And everyone just felt this weird disconnect to that concept where people don't like that. People need a human
That's one of the
connection.
nice things about Duncan's videos is he always has that style, and he has it on his channel to this day, where he'll sort of talk at the camera for a second, and then he'll go back and you'll see what he's doing, and then he'll talk to you again, and then he goes back, and it's kind of personable, and it's nice because you feel like you're actually being taught in the room by a real person, right?
It's also how humans learn. So being a teacher myself, right, and reading quite a lot of articles in terms of like eye contact is mega important. Even if it's not a real person, it's a video. Like all of those subconscious clues, like all go into your brain and help your process. If that makes sense.
Sure.
So it wasn't good for actual like teaching painting at all. Like it's just not conducive to like that, right? And just the whole reason behind it is the scumbagginess of like not giving your presenters a Cult of Personality when the original guys left because they didn't have their own Cult of Personality because G-Dubs was kind of squashing their creativity and you know not helping them develop as individuals and stuff. It's just so tone blank, if that makes sense. And
it's not. It doesn't. I have seen that shift away, and it's like it's not great. If I'm honest.
Right.
I get why, because they don't want that to happen again. They don't want to fall into that trap. But
the problem is with doing that is then it pushes people away even further, right? Yeah. Right. If you're just
I don't really watch their painting videos anymore, to be honest.
Do you not?
Not really.
I'll be honest. Some of the Suggs ones for Warhammer Plus are some of my favourite tutorials.
But I don't really watch the Warhammer Plus stuff. That's fair. So like, I don't I don't watch the stuff on their YouTube channel. I watch other people that you like. War Hipster is a really good one.
Yeah.
There's a few people that I watch that are just great, especially
I like the old
Contrast
Artist
guys.
Opus guys. They're great.
Yeah,
too.
he's cool. Yeah, and who else is there? Juan Hidaglo Miniatures or something like that. I'm probably butchering his fucking name.
Pete the Wargamer, bit of Pete action.
There are some amazing channels out there that will teach you some great stuff, and obviously Duncan's great, Peachy's great, Suggs is great. You know, there's loads of good shit.
I kind of miss Suggs's like tuition videos in a way
Mm-hmm.
because, like, obviously, like, to be honest, he's kind of moved on to like Pastures New, where it's more about the concept of a video, right? Where it's like, check out this cool shit, or check out this cool old mini and stuff. And I'm all about that life, right? But I loved her tuition videos. Like, they were great. The Black Armor one that she did for Warhammer Plus is my go-to recipe for Black Armor ever, right? And some of those are actually quite tricky to get, if that makes sense.
Sure.
But like, I just didn't like the tone deaf element of this, right? So there we go. Bless you, mate. Bless you. Of course, we've also had on a similar theme of that, the anti-Astartes text-to-speech lockdown of concept stuff as well. Well, obviously, G-Dubs absorbed Astartes and the whole creative team and didn't really give them a choice. It was kind of like the ultimatum of join us on Warhammer Plus or you're going to just get sued into oblivion, right?
And a lot of channels vanished at the same time, right?
Well, text-to-speech did, right? Because of that, and the fact that that concept was never going to make it onto Warhammer Plus, let's be real, right? Astartes could, because it was kind of like a very sort of neutral thing. But when you got like the Emperor like doing Asmodai, right? And like, I too have a beard, right? All of a sudden that humor's way too out there for your average. And it also bastardizes their characters and stuff like that. So there we go. And of course, you know, the big one, which was the death of the old world.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any knowledge of that?
So I do know about Old World, and obviously, I know that we. Are you talking about the general sort of shift from Old World to AOS, right?
Yes, and how they handled that.
So basically, they. I think a lot of people got quite upset about that, obviously, because it was a big shift in the lore. It was it pissed off quite a lot of people, and then obviously they started cutting ranges here and there as well. So it's a difficult one, really, really difficult. I think upset quite a lot of people that did, but obviously they brought it back now. It's a bit different. It's an interesting one.
I think Old World was always going to be a really hard game to keep going anyway, right? And I kind of understand, but I think the thing that people got, I think, a little bit hurt about was how bad Sigma was right off the bat, right? And like there was no points costs and stuff in the early days, and the mechanics are really fucking goofy. And you went from like the most hardcore of hardcore regiment games to essentially baby's first skirmish game. So like it was just a bit weird in that regard. Yeah,
definitely.
But there we go. Who played Old World out there? Did you get a bit stung by that?
I've not actually played Old World yet.
Oh my god!
So I need to give it a go. I never played. So I wasn't into AOS back when it was pre-AOS. That's the problem. So I never really got into Old World style of stuff. So I can't.
Mad mechanics, but you know, like really cool. Like
I've heard they had quite a cool magic system.
Magic system was immense. Absolutely immense, like one of the best magic systems ever. To the point of it being quite overpowered, but then magic's magic. So what do you expect, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Very quick, some other honourable mentions: ignoring store results of campaigns. And like whether it was like the Storm of Chaos campaign.
We were talking about this. Was it in the Discord the other day that someone was mentioning? I saw a comment. I can't remember. I'm kind of blurring the lines there.
That was for Storm of Chaos.
Yeah, so they started obviously doing. They obviously used to do the campaigns that actually used to tilt the plot a little bit.
Yeah.
And then the wrong side started winning, and they were like, "Oh fuck, we don't." Really
it was because Empire won the Storm of Chaos, right?
Yeah,
and they wanted Archean to win, and put threat up on the board, but it didn't happen. Empire just fucking absolutely wrecked Chaos in that campaign. But there we go.
Yeah, that's quite funny.
It is quite funny.
I mean, they did do it at the beginning of 10th edition, if you remember, but I don't think it was really that relevant to the story. But they did have a Tyranids versus Space Marines little thing that they did.
I do remember.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
I think it was more to do with who was winning, but I think when you look at the balance of the box that we had originally, it was quite one way. And like, I think, was it the Marines that were really good against
Marines
the
were
Tyranids, I
busted.
think? Yeah.
Well, Marines had all speciality units, and the Tyranids just had like.
So they had like
troops.
flamers against all of their shitty stuff, and then they had like the ballistas to just blow up the old big Carnifex.
So
it's just
badly.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's because GW was scraping the barrel in terms of what Marines don't have as push fits, right? So it's giving them all this elite stuff. So Stern Guard, like Terminators and stuff, like fucking hell, like all right, like balance.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the James Workshop apology Votan.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. I
video when he was like, we're so sorry, because Votan came out completely and utterly ridiculous. Busted. Yeah. Was that 9th, or was that?
Yes,
that
I
was
think it was 9th, yeah.
The tail end of 9th, right?
They came out and they had such powerful shooting and such incredible rules, they were just flattening everyone. And then they were like, okay, we better tone this back. And it was a weird one because they obviously just dumped massive points hikes on Votan and did some changes here and there. So the army went from almost this like quite sort of spammy army to like a really elite army. And then it went back a bit towards the middle again. Because I know my mate Paul, who was playing Votan at the time, like he didn't really want to play them at the start because they were too busted. And then he was like, well, now I've got all these fucking models and I can't use half of them because they're so elite. And now he's like gone back the other way again. So
I feel really sorry for Votan players because actually, to be fair, the miniatures are stunning, right?
Oh, they're cool.
Especially the old long coated motherfuckers.
Oh, they're so cool.
And the bikes look cool. The bikes look fucking fantastic. But like, I think that's an army that's trying to find its like mechanic identity.
Yeah.
And the grudge token thing is very cool. I think they need to balance that. Yeah. But like, they seem very shooty with some occasional combat, and like I don't know, they're just a bit of a weird army to kind of.
They play an
out.
honest game of Warhammer, and I think that they, in teams as well, they seem to be played quite a lot in a teams environment because they are quite a good one to sort of get drawish matches. Like they can get quite a lot of like 10-10s because you never really win hard or lose hard unless your opponent obviously makes a real cock up or you just roll
solidly go through it, right?
Exactly. No one's really going to have like a 20-0 into Votan most of the time.
I guess that the only weakness that the army has is the lack of diversity internally from their data sheets, right? Where like their units do one thing very well, right? Whether it's very good at shooting or very good at combat, but then not the other end of that. Where a Space Marine can kind of do everything.
I'm interested to see their codex when they get one because they had their Grotma's detachment, which was just a bit shit, unfortunately. It was one of the ones that was a real miss.
Yeah.
A bit like, there was a couple of them, wasn't there, that were just a bit like,
Not like my favourite Bile one.
Yeah, that was so good. But yeah, so I'm hoping to see some interesting things for them because I think that'd be cool. But yeah, that was a bit of a hoo-ha. At least they addressed it though, right?
We're sorry.
Yeah, it was real, like, it upset a lot of people that day.
Yeah,
clearly,
well, people were really hyped about squats coming back, and then for them to have that feel bad wasn't
this the drama where there was a tournament in Germany that banned Votan or something, didn't they? And that was that was sort of what tipped the final domino.
Yeah, well, actually, a lot of tournaments then started banning Votan, so it was like all factions but Votan, which has never really happened in like 40k's history.
And there have been some busted ass factions like Drakari in 9th,
Tau in 9th,
ridiculous.
Tau in 9th, Drakari in 9th. Admech when they first came out in 9th.
Yeah, oh god, they were just
so balancing stuff in general, but that was
they've got so much better at that. We've touched on this before.
Oh yeah,
so it's like their balancing team now is doing such a great job. Kudos to them.
Although Adari at the beginning of the edition made me want to cough up blood.
Well, that was the beginning of the edition. Though they've done like I think they didn't get Josh on until a little bit into the edition. Really, did they, Josh Roberts?
Yeah, I hope they preserve what they've got now and
it's good.
Make that going forward.
The fact that he's such a good player as well, he's one of the best players.
Yeah,
in the world.
There you go.
That really helps.
There you go, Steve. Speaking of moving forward ahead, wet blend time.
Slip it in there.
Slip it in. Basically, what we're going to think about the old 10th edition predictions, the final 10th edition predictions.
It's weird because in my gut, I was like, 10th is going to go on for like another year or so, at least. But then there's a lot of talk from people that it's like, oh, we're going to be moving into 11th edition near the end of this year or like something like that, which is crazy fast.
I think we're going to have a 10.5.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we almost did already a little bit. have a 10.5.
Yeah.
But there's a definite chance that we might. But I if we do get 11th edition at the end of the year, it's going to have to be the kind of thing where it's like people's existing codexes just roll through. We're not going to get re-indexed.
Yes, no, thank you.
I don't think that will be the case.
Please no.
Because that happened obviously going into 10th edition, but I think it warranted it. But I think they'll move forwards a bit more like streamlined. I don't think we'll see such huge sweeping changes to things like data cards and all that sort of stuff.
Well, yeah, one of my favourite editions was third, and what happened with third was third went on a long time. I think third edition went on for about 7 years, right? But all throughout third, you had multiple different codices released for third patches. So
which is fine.
Chaos
right?
Space Marines had 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And essentially the rule was that when your rules get updated, then you just get updated, and that's what you got to do with it. Obviously, you got to make sure that everyone gets their time in the sun in terms of rotation and stuff. But what I hope will happen is the 10.5 won't even feel like a step up. It will just be like, okay, we've just like readjusted some elements, or the keywords stay the same, or the rough mechanics stay the same. We've just altered a few things that would have been a chapter approved. The reason why I'm saying that there might be like a launch box for 10.5, so to speak, is that we're potentially getting another Codex Space Marines updated Space Marines thing. You haven't heard of this? Have you not heard of this?
Yeah, no, I have. But it's like, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because they did this with, when did they do this? Marines, they're usually at the beginning of an edition, right? And weirdly, Necrons seem to ride along with them a lot of the time as well.
Didn't 8th/9th edition have a second Codex?
Something like that. I feel like they did. I don't know. I'm getting too old for this shit. I'm about to turn 36 this weekend, so
I know, bless you. Oh yes, it's your birthday soon.
Yeah, coming here to see me, aren't you? For my birthday meal. That's gonna be great.
You have to post a picture of my card because it's the best card.
I will do. I'll go in the Discord for sure.
But like, I don't know what's going to happen with that, because I think there's going to be rules for like salamanders, ultramarines, all of your like.
That's great though.
Other things.
I love that.
I mean, dude. But
Sallies need more love, right? There's some die-hard Sally players.
Exactly. But then, of course, the argument is then what will happen with the old Codex detachments. I think will they then be restricted to like the proper chapters having their own?
I think you'll probably end up having some. It depends on how they do it. That either it'll be in an addition to, or it'll just be a whole new book with all of the either reshuffled around and new ones added. Probably, most likely. I imagine that's what they'll do going forwards. Because, like, if we were to get a new Necrons book, right? Let's say in 6 months' time they get a new Necrons book. Is it going to be like refined versions of the current detachments, or is it more likely to be axe a few, change a few, add a couple? Because that's what they're probably going to do. Because they need to add something fresh.
I don't think people
would get bored if it just redid them and they were like, "Oh, here you go."
I think Space Marines has to happen because I think there is a core balancing issue with Space Marines in regards to how detachments work for Space Marines.
Sure.
And also they have such a massive data sheet index, and there's so much stuff going on there that they may need to refine it or whatever, or maybe give each of the sub-chapters their own very specific detachment rule. So Salamanders gets one, Ultramarines get one, Imperial Fist get one, blah, 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 blah. And then have like 3 generic ones that any of them can use them.
In 10th edition, they've moved away from named chapters and stuff. Like they've said
that causes severe
Anvil
game
Siege
balance.
Force, which is basically Imperial Fist, because it's got a picture of them and it's like, this is Imperial Fist, but it's definitely not Imperial Fist. Like,
exactly.
They've moved away from that in 10th, so it seems strange to then be like, oh, we're going to do that now. A little bit weird.
Yeah, but then you've got severe game balance issue.
Sure.
Where,
I get it.
Where people's chapters aren't actually played by their chapters, right? They just dip in and out of and therefore you don't really. Then Space Marines, the only distinguishing factor between all the sub factions are epic heroes.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's lame as fuck. That's not cool. Your whole identity as a faction is completely lost.
Yeah.
And theoretically, you could have like a painted up Space Wolves army and play it like fucking Iron Hands or something.
Is like
weird.
We should release like a completely modified version of every data sheet that's just got like wolves in it. So we'll do like sort of wolf terminators, like wolf scouts. We could do like wolf veterans, some sort of like wolf bikers, but with wolves instead of bikes. We could do.
Sure.
I love. That's literally what they fucking did. Like,
yeah.
It's literally what they did.
Terrible.
It's so funny. I don't think we'll see that again. I do think we're actually more likely to get like a character and maybe like a specific unit for a sub-faction. So maybe we would get like, you've got Torgaradon or whatever his name is, Torgaradon for the Imperial Fists. And then you'll probably have Lysander
Cantor
as well. He'll probably get a new model. And then, you'll have like maybe some special sprue or something for the Terminators to sex them up. I don't know.
But again, though, there has to be something mechanically to match that, though, because again, like the differentiation between Imperial Fists and Salamanders now will just essentially be characters.
Yeah, but they do something. Like Lysander now will give your Terminators an extra OC or something, doesn't he?
But then it all comes down to what epic heroes are best.
Yeah, no, it does, and that's what everyone will run, because it'll be Imperial Fist is the best, or it'll be Sally's is the best.
Rather than lock one detachment behind a faction.
I don't like that though, because then what if what if I collect Iron Hands as an army in terms of color scheme, and then like they bring out an Imperial Fist thing, and then they're like, oh, they're not yellow. We're going back to those fucking days. Like, I want to be able to play I don't want to have to buy a whole second fucking Space Marine army just to play Imperial Fists. I think that those days are dead now with how much this game costs. Like, I don't think they're going to faction lock you in that way. I think Imperial Fist players, if they want to play Salamanders heroes, they'll just paint them in yellow and play them in the same respect, right?
No, that's fine. I don't mean it from a hobby perspective, but I purely mean it from a mechanic perspective. Yeah, it's so soupy. At least if you lock a detachment behind a faction, then their epic heroes associated with that detachment are also locked behind that.
Yeah.
So you don't get situations where you've got like Lionel Johnson in a fucking Iron Hands army. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get that. They've been pretty good at locking that out in the codexes and stuff already, haven't they?
Because
they've said if you take Dark Angels units, you can't take units from another faction. So you can't.
Yes, but you can still take
Lysander and the Lion. You can take the detachment.
You can still take the
you
fucking
can't take
detachment.
the characters.
No, exactly. But if you lock the characters and the detachment behind the faction,
that makes
then you can't soup it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Granted, if you want to paint your fucking Iron Hands green and like have them like a subject,
I think that's a healthy middle ground.
Fine. But just lock the fucking detachments with the epic heroes.
There's been some weird shit with this recently where I think it was Innes Wilson went to the LVO and he bought a Blood Angels, Not Blood Angels list.
Yes,
where
absolutely.
It was basically, he didn't take any actual Blood Angels units or something, but ran the detachment or the other way around. I can't remember what it was. But he did something like that. And you can do that. It's completely in the rules at the minute. But it should probably die. That should.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I think Space Marine is quite a big thing to balance. Of course, other things on the horizon. Grey Knights.
Oh, yeah,
I think Grey Knights are going to have an epic range refresh.
It's going to be interesting because do you think they're going to Primaris them up, or do you think they're going to
I think in the lore, Primaris won't exist for.
Do you think they'll just scale them up?
They'll just scale them up.
True scale.
Make them look bigger. Bigger. Because at the end of the day, right? If the rumors are that it's the Emperor's gene seed anyway, it's the fucking Emperor.
Was old Castellan Crow actually made into Primaris? He wasn't, was he?
No.
He's just scaled, right?
No, he's just scaled.
Yeah, he's just scaled up. Yeah,
just do that.
His model is sexy. If they all look like that, I'd be like,
yeah, this is it.
Yeah, and the Terminators as well. Because don't get me wrong, I do like them.
I
love their helmets. They are probably the best Knights faction out of all of the Space Marine factions.
You hold your fucking tongue. Hold your fucking tongue.
That was such easy bait. I was literally like,
you hold your fucking tongue, mate. Nah, you can.
I saw your faces drop. They are very knightly, though. You got to admit, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, but they're not the OGs, are they? They're not the first. They're not the first Legion. I love Grey Knights, so fuck off. But we do need them scaled up. We do need them.
They do need to scale.
Because otherwise, at the moment, when you put Castellan Crow in with a unit of Strike Marines or Purifiers or whatever, it looks like Papa's Day Out, where it's like big Castellan with tiny Strike Marines.
The Nemesis Dread Knights, right? I love them. Don't get me wrong. They've got always going to have a special place in my heart. Okay, but it doesn't make much sense to have the dude on the front, kind of like, what are those sisters things called? The where the dude's just strapped to the front. I can't remember. You know the ones I mean.
Penitent
engines. It's a bit like that kind of thing where he's like, just shoot me. Like, he is the obvious weak point in that point. Like, he should have a bit of fucking armor from the thing.
He's a space marine. Not only is he a space marine, but he's a Grey Knight.
A bit more armor doesn't hurt. If you're going up against a greater demon, Russ, what would you rather do?
No.
Bit more armor?
No. See, you are opening a very controversial topic that we're going to have to talk about in the future, but I'm going to have to just nip that shit in the bud right now. You are sounding like those fucks, those helmet fucks that are like, oh, space marines always wear helmets because they need to wear helmets. And it's like, shut up. Let them have bare heads. When people are like, it doesn't make sense.
There was a guy from the Blood Ravens chapter. He was walking up a hill, stick a banner on it, right?
Right.
Got up to the top, and he caught a little bit of fire under the old neck from an orc shooter, right?
Yeah.
Killed him. If he'd have worn his fucking helmet, Russ, and that's from the Dawn of War 1 cinematic, by the way. So
it's such bollocks because a space marine's fucking head is as hard as a fucking ceramite helmet. That's bollocks. It's absolute bollocks.
Why risk getting injured?
So annoying. It annoys me.
Look,
no, it annoys
me. Put your fucking helmet on. They exist for a fucking reason,
fuck
Russ.
Off. No, fuck off.
Okay,
no.
Comment down below. Helmet or no
I don't
helmet?
want to start this bullshit comment.
Helmet or no helmet?
No.
I'm going to make that the pinned comment on this video.
No helmet. And I will tell you why very quickly. Okay, we're going to have to... No, I'll tell you what. Okay. We'll save it for the future.
Save it for the future. No, I want to have it out now.
No, fuck off.
You're going to come at me with all this Iron Halo bullshit.
No.
Not all of them are wearing one. I was
going to say it. Iron Halo.
Not all of them are wearing a Iron Halo.
We're going to talk about this in the future, but this is not over. This is not fucking over. This is not over. It just annoys me because the same fucks that talk about this are the same douchebags that paint their army red, white, and blue and are in the military.
That's not true.
And like, in the military, you always wear your helmet.
Well, you do, because it fucking protects your head.
Okay, whatever.
Russ, okay, right.
But then you don't, right? But we don't believe that a god emperor.
Just listen, right? Okay, so hear me out, right? Let's say you're stood at the back as a little space marine, you peep your head out, right? You catch a little bit of gorse fire to the noggin, okay? Yeah, that shit is starting to disintegrate that thick old skull of yours, and then you're dead 2 seconds later.
You're not.
Hear me out.
Do you know why you're not?
What happens is you stick your head out, your helmet catches the gorse blast, and you go, oh shit, that gorse has eaten that helmet. I will take that bad boy off.
Do you know why you're wrong? Because the faith in the Emperor will stop your flesh from being like burnt off.
That's from the cinematic, the 10th edition cinematic with the sisters, when she's like, "Oh, Emperor."
And this is my point. And this is my fucking point. That we're not living in our reality. We're living in 40k reality with space magic and fucking faith in the Emperor.
Okay, all right, Russ. In that fucking logic, why are the custodians not still just rocking around in their Y fronts? Then, you dickhead. Why are they wearing any armor at all if their bones are so strong and their muscles are so thick?
Because they're too sexy that it would make all humans drool.
Talk a load of shit. End it. Argument over. Helmets.
We'll talk about this in the future. We'll do a trial of Space Marines.
It makes no fucking sense.
You don't make any sense. So, next
that was a tangent. I enjoyed that.
That was a tangent. That was a ripe tangent.
That was a
ripe tangent. Ready to be had. So, as someone who is a little bit too addicted to the Citadel paints yourself, Ed, we need to talk about how we can lead you astray down other manufacturers' thing, right? How do you feel about non-Citadel paint systems, and how do we recommend people like indulge in other companies?
I think your first non-Citadel paint ever you should buy if you're thinking of buying one is bold titanium white.
I've heard about this.
It's probably the best white. I think even Peachy was talking about it in our video with him. I need to check who actually makes it. Can you Google it for me, Russ, while I talk a load of shit?
Yeah, of course.
So I think it's Vallejo or something, but I'm not 100%. So, but that paint is really good. It thins down really well. I've found that a lot of whites that I've bought in dropper bottles and even the Citadel ones and stuff, they get very chalky. They bung up their dropper bottles a lot, and you get bits in them where they've just dried either round the nib or underneath. The bold titanium white has quite a cool cap on it where basically sort of when you turn it, it like pushes the paint up and like a little bit comes out, and it stops it. If you just wipe that off, it stops it drying. in the
It's
lid.
Pro Acryl.
Pro Acryl. There you go. So Pro Acryl, bold titanium white. If you've ever had problems with white as a painter, either through an airbrush or by brush, that shit will change your life forever. Thin it down. So what I do personally is I use a couple of drops of airbrush thinner. I don't use water with it. I just use a tiny, little bit of airbrush thinner in my little dropper pot thing when I'm painting with it. Just sort of 1-to-1 maybe. You just get the usual consistency. But that shit will not dry out very quick if you put airbrush thinner with it, and it's just so good. Covers really well.
Yeah,
like no other paint. So yeah, I mean, I think that was one of my first ones that I tried, and as I've said to Peachy, I have been a Citadel boy for a long time with my Ogre Balls Brown and all that sort of shit. It's taken me a long time to sort of start stepping out into the light. I really want to try the new Army Painter range that Peachy was on about, actually. What's it? Fanatic. Yeah.
I must confess, I am going that way.
Yeah.
So
what do you think? Like, what should, if you had to recommend a paint from another range that will change people's lives, what would you say?
I would say a range more so than a specific paint, right? The Army Painter Fanatic range are absolutely ridiculous.
Sure.
Absolutely ridiculous. They're really good for new painters because they cover really, really well.
Yeah.
Like,
do they need thinning?
A little bit, but they're dropper bottles, so it's easier to do, right? But the reason why I love them is just because, and we talked about this on the Peachy Pod, was how their triadic system works.
Yeah.
Where it's almost like a sextuplet. So it's like six paints of a triadic sort of 6 paints thing, right? So you can either choose to get all 6 paints of a specific color and then go for a crazy highlight spectrum, or just get a couple or 3 or whatever within that and then highlight from there, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So in terms of like the logic is strong. And the John Blanche, I'm so looking forward to, and I'm going to jizz it when I get the John Blanche Masterclass set, because there are some such cool, fundamentally important colors in it.
Yeah.
There's like a wicked new gold, which is like Retributor armor but darker, called Emperor Gold. There's also a Ironclad Grey, which is like their Eshin Grey, Banshee Brown, and their washes seem really good as well, like really, really nice. If you want to be a bit spenny, then obviously take a look at the Too Thin Coats range.
Yeah.
Because again, they do a very similar thing where they've got very, very triadic sort of paint ranges. Where the one thing that I don't like about the GW system is like everything's kind of up in the air, and you kind of need to research a very specific triad that you're going to use, and it might not be the most harmonious triad in the world, where they might be quite extreme.
Yeah.
But the Too Thin Coats, again, they're all designed to be triadic assigned paints. The only thing that I'm not a massive fan about the Too Thin Coats range is the washes aren't great.
Okay.
Or they're just not to my taste. And it's not necessarily that they're not great, I just don't like them as much as like their competitors. But some of their colours are bold and really, really nice, especially their greens and their reds I really like in the Too Thin Coats range, which are quite hard paints to kind of get right. That's the one thing that apparently the Fanatic paints aren't particularly good at, is the greens and the reds, which is interesting. So you might need to mix and match your thing. But again, like, try them. Don't be afraid to try them. What you may find with paint systems that aren't Citadel is that they're a bit cheaper.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Like you can get a 6 triadic range or sextuplet range for the Army Painter for like 20 quid for the 6 paints at least. So
touching on like that, as there's actually a really good point, is the cost of paints. It's 2 things I want to mention that sort of on the side of this. Is one of them is obviously rattle cans, and we've talked about this before.
There's only one choice now.
Yeah, so I used to do the Games Workshop Chaos Black and all that sort of stuff, and I've recently moved away to what's it called again? Remind me.
Colourforge.
Colourforge.
Your brain. You really are a proper Necron. You're going to have to re-download your memory.
It's because I've been so busy and I'm just all over the place at the minute. So yeah, Colourforge is great. That stuff is cheaper. Oh no, it's the same sort of price, but you get more bang for your buck.
I think it is a bit cheaper.
It's about 12 quid or something like that for a bottle, for a can, sorry. And you get a decent amount. You get like another sort of quarter or third again of what you get in a Games Workshop can. So that stuff is color matched as well. So if you're worried about spraying your army and if you've been using I don't know, Wraithbone. I think they've got like white bone or something. It's the same color, basically.
They even have a Morghast bone paint that I did and found out after I had done all my fucking Terminators.
Of course. Yeah, so that's a really good one. And then the other one I would say is one that will save you shitloads of money is don't buy the Earth texture paints from Games Workshop. Buy them from elsewhere because you can get... So there is
AK do loads.
Yeah, Vallejo do this Earth texture acrylic. I've been using this. It's they do all different colors. I've been using the brown one and like the sandy one. And that shit it's like a proper big old tub of it. And it'll just last forever. You could do like a whole army with that one tub. And I think they're like maybe sort of like tenner or something around that kind of range. Whereas if you buy one from Games Workshop, you basically just get like a slightly bigger pot of like their normal paint range. And it's like £4 or £5 or something. You don't get anything. And this stuff is honestly just better to work with and you can layer it up better. So I think that is another one that I would really recommend as
I totally agree with that.
A basic thing. Yeah, you can stick stuff into it. You don't need to use super glue. You just get it.
Especially as I paint mine afterwards anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So,
exactly.
It's all good. Vallejo are interesting, though, because their actual paints, I feel like, have gone downhill a little bit in as much as, like, they used to be, like, the number one competitor of... an army painter were kind of like the cheap, nasty, well, not nasty, but not wank. We said on the
it was wank,
like,
they were.
Not wank paints, but now
they're not wank now.
They're not wank now.
They were wank then.
And I feel like also Vallejo's got a bit into trouble recently with their paint team where
they've been not paying their staff enough.
They haven't been paying people, right? And people have been going on strikes and stuff, and it's all a bit... And now... the endorsement of John Blanche for the army painter is massive. So, like now, the army painter feels like they're having a renaissance. Army painter
seems to be coming into the line.
Yeah, really, very much so, very much so. So, and I actually must confess, I've never really enjoyed working with Vallejo paints. Yeah. They leave a bit of a glossy finish. They don't have great coverage, and they're just a bit gloopy.
What's the oldest paint you've got? Have you got
Dark Angels Green from the 90s?
I've got my original Chaos Black little, the old pots that they used to do.
Yeah, well, that's what I've got, but Dark Angels Green.
I've got one somewhere, knocking about. Do you know what happened the other day? Little aside. So I went into a Games Workshop with the boy, and the guy gave us a little Flamer Marine. I can't remember what they're called. Infernus. I should have said Flamerus Marines because they just put an us on the end of every fucking name.
Flamerus.
They gave me a little Infernus Marine for him. So we built it together, which was really good fun. And then I sprayed it up for him and we sat down and I said, what would you like to paint it? Can you guess what colour he reached for?
Pink.
No. Fucking Caliban green.
Little man, he's got taste. He's got taste.
Like, fuck, I don't want to tell Russ this because he's gonna give me no end of shit.
Yes, it's because your boy has taste, unlike you.
But no, it's okay. He's painted over it with a like a copper color now, so that's fine.
Leo painted his Infernus because he did a similar thing. We did a similar thing. Mint green.
Oh, nice.
Like a minty choice. Green, like Gauss Blast green coloured.
Well, he's gone more Minotaur's colour scheme now, which I like, so I'm into that.
Oh, nice. See, it was Sons of Medusa for Leo, but there we go. Very cool.
There you go.
Cool. That makes me proud of you, lads. Yeah. Proud of you, lad.
I was like, damn it. Should have painted it yellow. I gave him a choice of everything, and he was like,
it's because green's the best colour, lad. That's it. It's facts. So there we go. So let us know how you strayed away from Citadel. And it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, and if you've got any recommendations of ranges that people try, or like first paints that people should try if they are thinking of branching out, let us know.
Dude, I'm seriously thinking about replacing when I run out of colour for my Citadel paints, just replace them with Fanatics now.
I think I probably will. I probably will eventually.
It's mad. But there we go. See, there we go. Right, lore topic to finish on. Our favourite ever Black Library novels and why. So this will be quite fun.
I've got a few. You go first this time.
Yes, well, I think I've got one more than you anyway. So
I've got a few I haven't mentioned in my list. So I'll go.
Okay.
You go.
So I'm going to mention one of my most recent ones on my list, which completely changed my opinion on this character. Because beforehand, I was a Sigismund fanboy, and I was really annoyed that this character killed this character. And it's actually an Abaddon/Abaddon book called called The Talon of Horus by Aaron Dembski Bowden. I genuinely think this is one of the best Black Library books ever created, and it's part of a 2-book series called the Talon of Horus, and also Black Legion is the second.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about it,
Ed? Yeah. So only from what you've told me. I've not actually read it myself, but I've heard it's great. So I would definitely like to give it a go. So don't tell me, regale me.
Right. I had no idea about this history in the whole of 40k, but it was based on an event that happened called the Legion Wars. Now, the Legion Wars is what happened when basically all of the Chaos factions that fought in the Horus Heresy and lost got their asses kicked during the Scouring back into the Warp. Now, throughout the history between then and like 8,000 years later, when Chaos didn't really exist in the universe, the Imperial history around that time is quite, not boring, but quite limited in scope, right? It's all about the ecclesiarchy getting too big for its belly and being a dickhead, and eventually the War of the Beast and stuff like that. But Chaos wasn't really a massive like enemy during that time. It only really appeared towards the tail end of the year 40,000, the 40,000 and stuff like that, and became an enemy again. But what was going on was the Legion Wars. And the Legion Wars was essentially how the traitor legions survived in the Eye of Terror on a day-to-day basis, right? And they're struggling to survive, where in the Warp, they all kind of like gather and form their own sort of like bases of operations, and how they function as like a sort of an actual faction, a day-to-day faction, because obviously in the Warp, time moves really weird as well, where the time dilation, it could be longer, it could be shorter than the amount of time that you've got on the outside, right? It could be months or thousands and thousands of years, right? And how the hierarchy of the evil legions kind of work, and it's fascinating because, like, they obviously deal with slaves, they deal with weapons, like how all of the factions survive by like lending themselves out to each other or facilitating different jobs. So like the Iron Warriors are like the Forge Masters, and they make weapons for everybody else, so they're quite in with everybody and quite safe, if that makes sense. But how like the Black Legion, for example, what would become the Black Legion, they're the Sons of Horus, are being hunted to extinction because all of the traitors blame them for Horus's loss and them getting kicked into the Eye of Terror in the first place, right? And the main antagonists are the Emperor's children.
That's an interesting one. That's
and
quite
they're
cool.
the bastards, and they're the bastards
they
that
usually
that everyone hates in the setting, right?
Yep.
And they nick Horus's body and try and clone him. And it's amazing.
Is that Fabius that tries to claim it?
It is, yeah. But it's brilliant. And they're like, and it takes the unication of all the other legions to.
So is this just one novel, or is this several?
Two novels. Two novels.
Yeah.
As I said, it's Talon of Horus, and it's the Black Legion, and it's how Abaddon has his rise to power.
Sure.
And the narrative is based around 1,000 Suns Marine, and it made me really like the 1,000 Suns and he's the Black Legion 1,000 Suns guy, who has all of the memories of Prospero and stuff, and he has like a Space Wolf axe that he uses as a weapon because he stole it from a Space Wolf, and he has like a demon wolf that like hangs out with him and stuff, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah,
but just it's great. Go and read it. It's wicked, and it made me understand Abaddon a bit more, and also how unbelievably horrible living in the Warp must have been.
Yeah,
and the veterans.
I don't. It's an interesting one, the whole being in the Warp, right? Because
you just go, oh yeah, no, fine, but then to actually think about
the time dilation and stuff, like some of these legions, in a weird kind of way, must have been around a lot longer than 10,000 years, Or
so
whatever.
it feels like they've been around for like even longer, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that like the time happens in the War, that's why they are veterans of the old war.
And also,
because
like
the old war to them has been feeling like it's been going on for like millennia.
Exactly, and they like must have even more experience, like fighting and training and stuff, because they've been there
and fighting each other, and that's why they're all rough and all fucked up and all like distorted and stuff. Right?
Makes sense.
But you just never think about it.
That's a hostile work environment, if I've ever heard of one.
Yeah. But you just never think about the rough day-to-day of it, right? You just kind of presume that it's all okay and it's cool. But like, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And it tickles my pickle from the old
pickle.
The old Year of Chaos. It made me really fall to chaos. I think that book is responsible for my now Year of Chaos that I'm having.
I'll read it at some point. That sounds like a
It's
good
fucking
recommendation.
Fantastic.
So,
what's your first choice?
First one that I've got is Titanicus. So I was, this was back when I was painting my knights. I needed a little bit of, I don't know if you guys do this, but I do this. So when I'm painting an army, I start to like have a few books on the go for that army to kind of get me hyped.
Absolutely.
So Titanicus is a really cool novel that's sort of like following a load of literal titans, obviously, that are just having a big wars and battles, and it just gets right into the minds of the crew and the pilots and all these sort of the people involved, and you've got like the Skitarii there, which are terrifying in this, and you've also got the Dark Admech as well, that show up at various points with all of their scrap code and all this sort of stuff. And it's just
scrap code's evil.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's just got some really interesting little snippets of lore, and there are just some fucking epic fight scenes where you've just got these titans just like barging through buildings and just ripping each other to shreds. It's just really cool. So I can't recommend that one enough. If you're into titans, if you love knights at all, you'll love that book. So that's a banger.
Very cool. Yeah, I imagine that I haven't read that book, but I imagine like the scale of that is mind bending.
It's awesome, yeah, and like the toll it takes on the princeps and the pilots and all these, they're just and like they're sort of on the verge, and they're like trying, because obviously the machine spirits are so powerful in these things.
Just absorb them.
They almost like become one sometimes, or they're like having to fight against its like natural urge for violence. They're like trying to keep their cool, or it's really fun. It's really interesting as a book. And like trying to stave off, the call of chaos and all this. It's interesting.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Staving off the call of chaos.
Nice there.
This is my favourite Black Library book of all time. I love this book. It's Luther by Gav Thorpe. So Luther was part of a series of Horus Heresy era books that are focused around secondary characters that live within the Horus Heresy books. And they're all faction specific. So there's an Eidolon one, there's a Sigismund one, there's a Valdor one, but my absolute favourite is Luther. It has a wicked cover. Luther looks really cool on the front cover, and I have the limited edition of it, and it is my favourite book in my entire collection. Right? And I love it because it's all about Luther's climb to power within the Order of the Knights of Caliban, right? And how spooky and freaky and fucked up Caliban is. And he talks about fighting mythical beasts like the Horn of Ruin. And the Horn of Ruin is a massive fucking 3 double-decker bus-sized chaos fucking beastie that is just wiping out settlements in
I love it.
Caliban.
It's so Dark Souls.
Oh,
so Dark Souls, it's unreal.
And like how he's a young initiate.
Yeah.
And like how like towns are calling for aid. Like Gondor calls for aid, but they're just getting wiped out. Like they go to him and like the Horn of Ruin's fucked it up. And how they kill the Horn of Ruin. There's later a scene where he's hanging out with a daughter of one of the lords, and they go on a pilgrimage to find this like old sort of settlement, and it's all haunted and there's ghosts.
Oh wow!
It's so fucking cool.
Yeah,
and of course he bumps into an old Watch in the Dark every now and again, right? And just it's so cool. It's not really that much about Space Marines. It's about Luther. Oh no, okay. And the other cool thing about it is that it has a time dilation effect because it's all about Luther in his prison cell in the rock.
Okay.
And he gets every single chapter master over the centuries visit him and talk about really why. Cool. And then he reminisces about his time on Caliban as like going back in time.
Sure.
And it's so cool.
It's really cool.
Until we get to Azrael at the end. And like he just literally goes through all of and he's kind of.
He probably knows it all already, right? Because he's got the helmet.
Yes, but even so, like, but like the motivations for why and getting into the psychology of Luther, right? It is fucking fantastic. It's so edgy and edgelordy and everything that you want from a Dark Angels book.
Yeah,
like all the Dark Angels are stereotypical knobheads. It's all edgy as fuck.
Stubborn bastards.
Caliban is the greatest world in the history of 40k. Fight me, I love Caliban. Any time that I get to spend on Caliban as this haunted, horrible fucking planet that's woody and all cursed and all awesome. I do. I love I love Luther, and if you haven't, and if any of you that are slightly interested in the Dark Angels, or as you say, Dark Souls-esque mythology, go and listen to Luther. It's my absolute favourite. I love it so much. It's not very long. It's only like the audiobook's only like 8 hours or something.
Yeah.
But it's genius. And Gav Thorpe, like him or loathe him, is just a fucking genius for understanding the headspace of a Dark Angel. So there you go.
Awesome. So my next one is Brutal Cunning. I don't know if you've read that. It's
I know about this.
So it's a really fun book, like, and the Audible version of it's really cool as well. So it's basically the story of an orc sort of rising his way up through the ranks. I think it's like a novel or something. And it's just chaotic. It's so much fun. There's like some really fun little sub stories and like story beats in there to do with like, you know, some other factions turning up. I'm not going to spoil it, but like it's just got some incredible moments in like from all of the books that I've read. I'm not going to spoil them because again, they're just those sort of moments where you're listening to it and you're like, what the fuck? Just so cool. And it's mostly to do with basically orcs versus like the Adeptus Mechanicus, where they're just attacking this planet. And the Admech are just losing their shit trying to figure out how orc technology works.
They're like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on here?
Because there's some seriously mental shit going on. And they're just like, it doesn't make sense. You can't do this from a physical standpoint. Like, and it's just so funny. And all the orcs are just mental. And they're just, like, their whole sort of unshakable belief in things to make them happen is just so great how it pans out. And it's just fun. If you want a fun 40k book, give that a read.
I guess it's really cool to also come from the perspective of orcs as well, right?
It is.
So you get like a look inside their like society and like the way that they tick and stuff, and like they're endearing in a very orky way, and like it's nice that they have books, right?
Yeah,
like,
it was really different.
That's cool.
Because
really,
like
really cool.
we go through a lot of like books from Marines' perspective, and they're all a bit more like serious and like, oh, brother this and brother that, which we love, you know, it's all cool.
Yeah.
But it's nice to, as you say, see a different sort of perspective and a different faction come into the limelight a bit and see how they think and fight and interact with each other and see how their society works. So it's so
you can't do that without orcs, right? It's got to be fun or nothing.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, it's not silly. Like it's still grounded, but it's just fucking great. Like, so you go give that a go if you're interested in orcs at all, or if you like Admech, or you know, just give it a go. It's a really fun book.
So you like a bit of orcs?
Yeah,
I'm actually quite intrigued by that. That does actually really intrigue me.
Honestly, you'd have such a great time.
Out of all the things you've mentioned today, that's the thing that tempts me the most. Weirdly, actually,
it is fun
because I kind of like the idea of it. I think that's actually quite fun. So, because I'm old man Warhammer, and I am old, one of my favourite series of Warhammer books is the Slayer series.
Yeah, nice.
Have you read any Slayers?
No, I haven't, but I know of them.
You would love Slayers. So, obviously, if no one knows who the Slayers are Gotrek and Phoenix, aka a troll slayer, starts off as a troll slayer, that saves a Empire nobleman's son called Felix from getting run over by Karl Franz's chariot, and in a drunken stupor vows to be basically the bard of the Troll Slayer and to go on near suicidal missions and basically write songs and tales of the Slayer's name. It sounds very
The Witcher with old Dandelion.
It's total Witcher. It's total Witcher.
Yeah.
Right. And inevitably they go through these hellish adventures, and the Slayer doesn't die. He just survives. He's hard as fuck.
He's
Gotrek is hard as fuck.
Yeah.
And Felix is obviously trying to maintain a normal life whilst living as a Slayer's mate, right? And they all have books associated with like the stages of a Slayer's journey. So you've got like Troll Slayer, Skaven Slayer, Dragon Slayer, Demon Slayer, Vampire Slayer, fucking Elf Slayer, even stuff like Kin Slayer or Orc Slayer, or
there's loads of them.
There's 20 of them.
20 books.
20 of them.
Fucking hell, that's like a Horus Heresy levels. Well, not quite.
Oh yeah, and they still exist in the modern era as well, but without Felix.
Okay.
But like so cool, so funny.
Yeah.
And of course, the Slayer being so hilariously funny about how bad humans are at building stuff, where he's just like, it's shoddy, manling. It's fucking shoddy. And like Felix is like, oh god. Like, but my favourite one, and the one that you would love, is Skaven Slayer.
Yeah, anything with
which
Skaven
is
in it.
which is based in Nuln, and it's kind of where the I talked about my idea for a decent Warhammer Quest box game, and it's basically that where they're like underground in Null hunting Skaven, and it's the first appearance of Greyseer, Thanquol, and Bone Ripper.
Oh, okay. Great characters.
And they have a really cool invention called the like squeaker phone or something. The Skaven have invented phones,
and they're like,
yeah, but it's like powered by warpstone and like a fucking massive wheel. But it's so bad because occasionally it blows up.
Of course it does.
Like
Skavens, they always blow shit up. If they're not blowing it up, it's not working right.
It's really funny. So yes, Skaven Slayer, I love. It's great. It's all great. It's all great. And then inevitably Felix like gets off with a wench and fucks her, and there's always that as like a thing. And Gotrik's like,
toss a coin to your Slayer.
And Gotrik's always like, keep it in your pants, manling. Keep it in your pants. Great.
That sounds good. I have to give one of them a go.
Any more from you, lad?
Yeah, I can't mention my favourite Black Library novels without mentioning The Infinite and the Divine, because obviously it has to be said. So that is Trazyn the Infinite versus Orokin the Divine. It's not versus; they kind of basically have to work together, even though they're like mortal enemies. Which is just so funny. Like they couldn't be more different. Trazyn's just like grumpy Ultron, and Orokin just like takes himself so fucking seriously, and it's just like he's just on a mission, and it's just great. They basically butt heads continuously. They're trying to like underhand each other and fucking screw each other over continuously, whilst also having to work together on some great thing. And because they're Necrons, the fun thing about this book is it takes place over like thousands of years. That's because so obviously cool. They don't really see time like we do, where it's like our life is, like 70, 80 years or something. They see time as like an infinite thing almost. So they are literally just sort of, like Orokin will just be like sat there meditating for like, I don't know, 800 years or something casual. As you do. And that's just like nothing for him. And there's just some really, really fun moments and some really cool battles. And I'm pretty sure the Exodites turn up in it at one point.
Oh wow!
Or they basically Exodites. And it's just so cool. Like they are amazingly well written characters. They really flesh them out, and they're just a lot of fun. And you get to see a bit of solemnness as well, which is where is Trazyn's massive like. His museum basically, where he's got everyone stowed away in there, and it's just really interesting.
I just love the idea of two old men bickering.
Oh, it's exactly that. Yeah,
and that's the best. That's
like
the best.
Fucking each other over continuously at every turn.
I know it's well thought of because one of my presents that I was going to get you, but unfortunately my bloody internet died, was to get you the limited edition of that.
I remember.
And I was like, right, if I can get this for you, it'd be great. And it literally it sold out in like
it was like gone in a flash.
So I think, despite the fact that it's like a Xenos book, and Xenos books don't sell as well and stuff like that, it's a very well thought of Xenos book where people are like, that book's amazing. Sure. That book's amazing. I think if you're just a general 40k fan, you should probably listen to it.
It's got so many like crossovers with different factions and stuff in it as well. And the story's just really cool, and there are some absolutely unforgettable epic moments in it that will leave you walking away from it like, shit, that was so cool. And the most upsetting thing about this book is that Trazyn in the game is like fucking 1/1000th of his power level, coolness, ability, and all that sort of shit.
Always the case, though.
It's just rubbish. No, it's not, because Orokin's quite cool in the game. He's actually got some interesting fucking rules, at least. But like Trazyn's just he needs a resculpt and some new fucking rules, please. Games.
Well, there we go. See, I think that's.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, we're saying with Primarchs though. Primarchs die easy.
I know, but like there's die easy, and then there's just basically be crap. And like his weapon, he can't shoot with it, and he's got like 4 attacks, strength 7, 0 AP, D3 damage, a sustained D3. Such a random profile.
No, that's not good.
It's just crap. Yeah. So, but hopefully they'll give him some love at some point, because I would absolutely drop my Yoggoth.
Cream it.
For a new Trazyn model.
Yoggoth. Droppeth my Yoggoth. I've only got one.
Shit thee nay.
I've only got one final one that I'm gonna just gonna say before I leave, and it has to be because I'm entering my year of chaos, and it has to be again a book that really helped my fall to chaos, and it was The First Heretic by Aaron Dempsey Bowden, all about the word bearers.
Yeah,
and everyone, and again. if you want to understand why the word barriers are why they are, the first Heretic is great.
Yeah.
And it's
Is it in the omnibus? Because there's a World Eaters omnibus that you can
you
buy.
mean word bearers? No, it's not. No, it's not.
No, there's
it's
a word
Heresy.
bearer.
No, it's not in it.
Oh, okay. That's a shame.
That's the modern ones. That's the Dark Apostle.
Yeah, they're cool.
They are brilliant. No, it is a Horus Heresy book, and it's all about the raising of Monarchia.
Yeah.
And how pissed off Lorgar was, and how slimy Guilliman was when Monarchia got razed to the ground, and also the pilgrimage that Lorgar goes on to find chaos.
Yeah.
And sending Argul-Tal off into the warp and stuff. And it's just really fascinating. Magnus makes an appearance.
Sure.
And Magnus and Lorgar go through sort of philosophy with each other about it and the Imperial truth and stuff. It's just really interesting. If you want to know like the sort of seed of where traitors came from in the 40k universe, that's it. And also
cool.
it lets you understand where Lorgar's coming from. That although he is a whiny dickhead, he has every reason to be a bit of a whiny dickhead, and that kind of explains it, really.
I mean, people are going to be screaming in the comments, why have you not mentioned Eisenhorn and Gaunt's Ghosts and stuff?
We will.
We have mentioned those previously and stuff. Yeah,
these are more our subjective favourites.
Yeah, so we do know, and obviously the Horus Heresy series, there's some incredible books out there, but we just wanted to mention some other ones that aren't so mainstream today.
And we may do where to start with the Black Library topic in the future.
Well, we were talking about that with Quitster in our first guest special, which was good fun.
Cool.
So if you want to go back and watch that one, he actually has like a whole spreadsheet of how to read the Horus Heresy that he thinks is the best way around, which is quite cool.
For our next Christian appearance, I'm going to need the old Quipster horn.
Yes, you will.
There we go.
Good fun.
Now, let us know your favourite books, please.
Yeah.
Because it'd be interesting to see. And all good.
You've forgotten something this whole episode, Russ.
Oh no. Is this the worst example of this?
I think this is actually a win. I think you have. I don't think you've ever not done it. This is the best one. I've been grinning the whole time about waiting for you to say it. And I was like, is he going to say it now? Is he going to say it yet?
Wow. This is the worst
you've let yourself
one.
Down.
Well, you could have stepped in at any point, you do realise.
No.
Okay, after this moment, Ed, you have to now step in because this is the worst it's ever been to get all the way through an episode. So, like, comment, subscribe, get on the Discord. Oh my God.
And thank you to our Patreons.
Oh God, what an arsehole.
I haven't actually talked to Russ about this, but I'm going to do it live. So one of our members in Discord the other night that I was chatting to had a great suggestion for some extra content for our Patreons, which we will discuss properly whether we can actually do it, but is a monthly live stream where we basically do an hour long or half an hour long, maybe sort of like a live version of this where people can tune in, where the Patreons can tune in and chat directly to us. If you guys are interested in that and you think it'd be good fun, then let us know in a comment down below, because it's something we definitely could consider doing.
I'm totally down with that. We can do that.
Likewise.
Absolutely do that. That sounds fun.
And keep an eye on the Battle Barn. We are very close to launching. As you can see, I am now in here at the very least, which is good. So once decoration is complete and the final bits and bobs are done, we should be going live soon, and we'll get Russ over for a game, so that'll be great fun. I'm just so excited to play some fucking 40k on stream. It's going to be absolute carnage.
It's going to be crazy. Especially us unbound.
Yeah. There'll be links to that.
Ed and Russ unbound.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. But please like, comment, subscribe. Follow me at Count Ruscular Minis on Instagram. Follow Ed at Eddie's 40k. Eddie S.
I'll put links to these down below from now on as well. I'll update them
to
the Instagrams if people are interested.
And you need to now step in and take responsibility for this.
I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to keep playing this game.
I'm going to have to write it then at the beginning of every time.
It's all right. I've got a little button that will pop up at some point. So don't worry.
There we go.
Love you long time, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thank
as
you
always.
very much.
Have a good week.
Thank you, Ed. I'll see you around.
See you next week, guys.
Ciao. I hate you so much. Such a fucking bellend.
Oh, fuck, I didn't press record. I did, really. I got you so good.